A lot of people actually don't enjoy the game. They enjoy the lifestyle, the freedom, the money, the travel, like all that kind of stuff. They don't actually enjoy the game, because then they would ask me questions. Ben, how can you stay motivated? How can you stay focused for 10 hours? It's like my question, how can you not? You play a fucking game that you're supposed to enjoy.
The interview by PokerOrg.
Welcome to a special edition of The Interview with Ben Rolle. He is BenCB 789, very famous streamer and poker player, one of the online greats. He's won over 50 million in cashes. He has cashes over 50 million. You want to make that clear for him. And he just won the WSOP Main Event 2025 for almost $4 million, $3.9 million. And Ben was second, so close last year going through this field. So lucky to have him here today. Welcome to The Interview, Ben.
Thank you for inviting me. It has been a wild ride the last 7 days for sure. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, Ben, where are you? I'm like reaching out to you. I've been lucky enough to work with Ben a few times over the years. He's always gracious and one of the more articulate players as far as strategy and explaining why he does what he does and why you should do something a little different. So tell me first about how excited you were coming into the final table and having a chance. You were the chip leader this time. And what your plan is, because it was really cool that you delineated your top things you needed to think about on your on your socials about how you approach the final table. Can you talk a bit about that moment of entering the final table and going all the way to the end there to take it down?
The very first thing I do is I try not to care about the money. Obviously, with all the prestige and that you're going to be playing for $4 million, it's a lot harder than if you play for smaller money, for less money. But I'm also not doing this for 12, 13 years, so I'm already used to play for 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 for first. But it's obviously a different caliber if you play for 4 million for first.
Yeah.
But I still try to do it, and I do certain warm-up where I go through those spots with our study tool paired, where you can study very well for final table situations, and this is just my warm-up. And then, and this is the most critical part, is I just chill. I know that, okay, there's nothing else I could have done better, and I just play the final table. And there are gonna be spots where I don't know what to do. Same what will happen to the other players. Right. It's a shared experience. I'm not alone in this, and very often I see players freaking out with, oh my god, what if this happens and this happens? Well, then you do your best and you review it and you do it better next time. And you see it also on this final table where a lot of players are just very, very scared. And I think they're not necessarily scared of the money. They're scared of making a mistake playing for so much money. And that leads to them to actually make more mistakes because they play too tight or they overcompensate on being too aggressive. And the best you can do is just have a solid preparation. And usually the preparation happens weeks and months before that you prepare on a regular basis. You study, you review, you try to get better. On this, a lot of people ask me, Ben, I have this final table. Do you have a tip for me? My tip would be just chill. You're not going to learn anything an hour or 2 hours before. Because I can tell you something and you learn. It's like reading a book. Yeah, you read the pages, but you still have to apply it. So even if in the same day I give you a tip, you don't have the time to apply it. So all I can tell you is just chill the fuck out, play your game. Don't try to, this is a bigger buy-in, I have to make all these moves. Well, you don't know in which spots to make those moves because you don't have the foundation, you don't have the experience yet. So and I'm doing the same. It's like when I'm not going to learn anything new. For me, it's just about the warm-up. Like I do a bit of, it's like when before a football game, you run a couple of rounds, you do some passing, some stretching, just get my mind ready for poker.
Well, and that's I think that's a great advice. I was an actor for many years in New York, and I remember reading a column with Jack Lemmon. He goes, look, I did all my homework before I went on stage or start a movie scene, but now it's magic time. I can't go back and be thinking about it, while I'm trying to act. Same thing with a poker player. A lot of people you could tell them something and all of a sudden they're thinking about that instead of just like you said, being in flow. So I find it interesting. I looked at some of, did some research and find out some of the things you do. That a lot of your discipline endurance came from training with a pro fighter. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, when I lived in Vienna, I had a very good coach, and we would do kickboxing twice a week. And We wouldn't just do kick. I would also spar against him, and he is one of the most successful fighters in Austria. And what I like about him, he's not just a coach; he's a fighter himself, and he's also competing in lots of different like point fighting, light combat, heavy combat, kickboxing. He's had taekwondo, and so he's a very well-rounded fighter. And I would always do sparring against him at the end of our session for 3-4 rounds. And it really helped me to understand that against people that have an edge on you, you are so far behind. And it helps me to translate into poker when I realize when someone has an edge on me, he's kicking my ass. And that makes me work harder because I don't want to lose position. You just get to realize in those moments when someone is ahead of you. And the thing is, in poker, you don't really notice it. You don't really notice how much money you're losing in a certain spot. But if I would play heads up against, let's say, I'm really good. I'm not a heads up specialist, let's say 50 big blinds and more, but I'm really, really good under 50 big blinds because this is where I originated from, sitting goals. I played 50,000 sitting goals, thus I played tens of thousands of heads ups because if you play six-handed heads, six mix sitting goals, you play a lot of heads up. You play a lot of 10, 20, 30, 40 big blind heads up. And let's say if I play against someone who might be like a solid tournament player and we play hundreds of 30 big blinds, heads up sitting goals, yeah, you might win over 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sitting goals, but the bigger the sample, the bigger my edge. And also the opposite counts. If I play heads up against the 100 big blind heads up specialist, I might win over a small sample, but he's absolutely smoking my ass. And the lesson I learned there is just how fucking helpless you are when you are competing against someone who's really good. Because you might think, if it's sparring, you might hit a lucky punch. So in those spots where there's no luck involved, we might do one sparring. I will never win. In poker, you might play one game and you can win against a pro. But in these sports, and especially when skill is so big, you have no chance. Like, I felt like a toddler. And the thing is, I started kickboxing, like I started boxing pretty early. I was then, after my football career, I was boxing for 2-3 years. And then in England, I started kickboxing for 1 or 2 years. And then I stopped for 5-6 years. I got back into it. So I always, I had the fundamentals. I was not a complete beginner. And then I was training with him like regularly for 2-3 years. I still didn't have a chance. It's like, and I would upload these stories on my Instagram every single week so people could see how helpless I am, which is pretty insane because you might say, okay, if you have a bit of experience, maybe you stand a chance, maybe you hit a lucky punch. No, you just don't. It feels so slow. It really feels like you're hitting in slow motion. And yeah, it was always, despite of having all the success in poker, it helped me to be more grounded and stay modest that, hey, if you start working hard, you fall behind, you're absolutely getting smoked. So I recommend to anyone who's listening, if like this for me is the balance, I'm really good at something, and then to see, okay, what happens if you're not so good at something, or at least you compete in a field where people are really better than you and what can happen to you. And all these punches in my face was just a reminder of myself what can happen if I fall behind in poker. And to find something that you enjoy doing, I really enjoy, the physical parts, learning about like getting better with your techniques, making small improvements. Like, I don't know, play an instrument or do martial arts, or where it still teaches you a lesson, like similar to what I went through with my trainer. Yeah.
Well, I love the name of your site, very popular training site called Raise Your Edge. Can you talk a bit about your study process? Like you said, when you're a toddler out there and playing sit and goes, I read that you quit your job as a checker at a grocery store or something like that.
Yeah.
Then you're playing $1 sit and goes, so that's crazy. But so what was the most, well, how should I word this? The most important way that you went approached your study of the game so you could raise your edge? What was like some of the keys that you can share with people of how your study habits are? Because I can tell you're a very disciplined, articulate person, so I can see you diving deep into that. So what would you share some of the keys to help a player's study habits so they can grow?
to identify which spots are range bluffs, to identify which spots are range folds. What that means is, let's say I have a spot, and we all know that you're in a casino and you run a triple barrel bluff for like heaps, and the guy calls you down with 120 big blinds with like top pair no kicker, and like, what the fuck are you doing? So this is a spot where you just don't range bluff. You know, it's like you just range give up basically. You only go for value. And the same is with spots where you know your opponent is weak and you might not have the right blockers to do so, but you know he's weak and there's a lot at stake. You have a lot of chips, you can afford it, and maybe he's a middling stack and just apply pressure. So you bluff everything. Like, it doesn't matter. It just really doesn't matter. You have a hand, you bluff, and you play your opponent. And a lot of people think like these are very unique scenarios. They're not. Because the moment someone starts playing a few hands differently than in GTO, then you very often reach an equilibrium where you can just do whatever the fuck you want. So let's say if your opponent is supposed to, let's say, in this triple barrel spot, and GTO wants him to call down with top pair, let's say, I don't know, 25, 30% of the time, just, you know, not to be exploited. But he actually calls it like 50, 60% of the time. Like, you immediately give up all your bluffs. Like, it's not like, oh, you give up your best bluffs. No, you just give up everything. Because in GTO, all these spots where you have a marginal bluff and he has a marginal bluff catcher, and we all know that. How many times we play a poker session, like, I'm not really sure here, I'm not really sure there. It's usually an indicator it's a marginal spot, it's a break-even spot. And now if your opponent just deviates with a few hands from what he's supposed to do, what is optimal, you immediately give up all your hands. If your opponent starts overfold because there's a lot of money at stake and he folds, let's say, instead of defending 30, 40% of all of his top pairs and he only defends them 10%, you just bluff everything. And same for pre-flop. If, let's say, on the cutoff, your opponent is supposed to defend, let's say, 50% against a 3-bet, but he only defends 40%, you can suddenly start 3-betting all the hands that were supposed to be a call. You can like 3-bet just your entire range. Like, let's say if you defend the button 30% of the time with like mixing of 3-betting and calling, you could just 3-bet your entire range because he just folded too much. You can just 3-bet pocket fives because he's just folding too much. And you can even start adding more, like, let's say, king deuce suited or an ace 4 off, which should be a fold. And that's what I mean with these range bluffs, range folds, range give ups. And this is what we have also built our program around. And a lot of the training that we do with our students to show you is like, okay, here's a spot. This is what GTO wants you to do. Now I alter it slightly. So instead of your opponent 3-betting 15%, what he's supposed to do, let's say it's a final table scenario, but he only 3-bets 12% against you, now you basically just fold everything. We've shown sims and we've proven this, that now your ace queen off is pure fold, tens is a pure fold, nines is a pure fold. Like, your exploit comes by raising more. And again, this does not happen that your opponent 3-bets 5% or 15%. Like, these are very realistic scenarios. But then on the opposite side, if he, let's say, 3-bets 18% instead of 15%, you just 4-bet jam your entire range, or you 4-bet bluff your entire range. And this also has helped a lot of our students to completely rethink their game. And because I'm always a big proponent of being very careful with GTO. I don't think it's good for micro stakes. I don't think it's good for low stakes. And I don't even think it's good for a lot of mid stakes players, because it just takes you. And these are the spots that make you the most money. These are literally the low hanging fruits. And you're going to miss them over and over again in your session. That's why you don't have so many deep runs. And I know I get a lot of hate for my plays. Like, oh, this is a punt, that is a punt. Yeah, sometimes I look stupid, but so be it.
I had a conversation with somebody I'm sure you've played with online, Chance Corneth, and he said when he and Alex started working together, Foxon was already a very good player when he approached to work with Chance, and said one thing he loved about Alex was he wasn't afraid to look stupid.
Yeah,
which, at that level. So one thing, I get all your emails. I've been subscribing to your site for a long time. I love this one you sent out, that money is a byproduct. That if you need money to motivate you, you will fail. Can you share a little bit more about that thing? And then you jump right back in and go, why am I jumping in and playing these smaller buy-ins after I just won 4 million? So you just talked about that a bit too. Can you share a bit about your feeling about playing for money? And like you said, some people make mistakes because all of a sudden they're playing for 4 million at the recent table.
Well, that's why bankroll management is so important.
Yeah.
That you should play with money that doesn't hurt you losing. And if it doesn't hurt you losing, you shouldn't care about it. It cannot go hand in hand with proper bankroll management and you care about it. And listen, I don't want to sound too arrogant. And I've been there as well because, he has a big bankroll. Well, I started grinding $1 singles as well. I know exactly the pain and hustle all the small stakes and low stakes grinders are going through. And I can tell you, I've been always very strict with bankroll management, and it's always been a huge benefit for me. And obviously, we care about money. Obviously, it hurts if we lose money. But the difference between people that, let's say, poker pros, that don't care about their money is they're upset about losing money. It hurts them, but they don't care about it. It means that they don't care in moments where it matters. So let's say when they have to run a bluff, when they have to make a big laydown. Like in all these critical situations, the money does not affect them. It does not affect their decision-making process. That's what we mean with they don't care about money. All they care about is making a plus EV decision. That means you might lose money in the short term, but in the long term, you will win. You will make money. Right. This is what we mean with not caring about money. Obviously, they will care about the money if the session is over and they lost 10 grand. While with a 500K bankroll, it doesn't hurt. It also doesn't hurt let's say, the beginner, but he already has a poker pro mindset. And if, let's say, this player loses $10 but has a $500 bankroll, it might hurt. Nobody likes losing money, but can get up the next day and continue grinding. And in these critical decisions, to not let it be influenced by the money, this is what we mean with you don't care about money. And those who don't follow bankroll management, they care too much about the money because it will influence their decision. They will skip profitable bluff catchers, very profitable bluff catchers, because they associate with, now I lost money because I might be wrong. And then the next days they will hate themselves. It's usually just a coping mechanism. Same with, I don't want to bluff. I don't want to rejam a jack 10 suited. I don't want to bluff 3-bet, let's say, a king 5 off. Even like all of these are profitable situations to be aggressive or to let go of a hand. Also, it goes in both directions, all because of the money. And you can't be a winning player. That's what we mean with caring about the money.
Well, beyond that, it seems like you feel a little deeper with the sense if you need money to motivate you, you will fail. That's a deeper kind of motivation. Can you talk a bit about that? That if you need money to motivate you, you will fail. Because obviously, and I've read a lot of what you've said recently, that you love the game so much, and obviously with all your dedication. That sentence, if you need money to motivate you, you will fail. Can you share about what that means underneath all that for you?
Because you have too much emotional attachment exactly in those situations, and it will compromise your thought process. The thing is with money, it's the way I also don't like this advice of follow your passion and you will become rich. Follow your passion and there has to be demand. So that means, or you can make a lot of money with it. Like if you pair these two, then it's good. In poker, the money is important, don't get me wrong, but it's equally, if not even more important, that you enjoy the game. And a lot of people also confuse with enjoying the game versus enjoying the lifestyle. A lot of people actually don't enjoy the game, they enjoy the lifestyle. The freedom, the money, the travel, like all that kind of stuff. They don't actually enjoy the game. Because then they would ask me questions, Ben, how can you stay motivated? How can you stay focused for 10 hours? So my question, how can you not? You play a fucking game that you're supposed to enjoy, but then you can play 12 hours Fortnite and Call of Duty like the entire weekend. Don't you see the problem? You enjoy that game, right? With all its details and leveling up and all that. You can have like 5 hours of bad games. You still jump into the next round. But then poker, you cannot be focused for 8 hours. So there's a difference. You don't enjoy the game. You just enjoy the outcome. You just see like all the money and all the benefits and the cool stuff it brings. But if you truly enjoy the game of poker, I'm not saying you should enjoy and embrace the downswings. They suck, but it's easier for you to get up again from these downswings and try again, to go down in stakes. You, let's say, to a certain degree, embrace the hustle that you go through. And you also see the benefits it brings for you as a person, the growth, the lessons you learn, the people you meet. Even though you might not make all the money within the first or second year, but you can see it. Like, you see exactly those things that make you keep going, whereas others just give up. And then, yeah.
I read something where you said that you busted many bankrolls until you got disciplined with your study. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit? How did it change?
Yeah, I think I busted my bankroll 3 times, but it was just a $50 bankroll, when we all started.
What I meant early on.
Yeah.
But you started obviously some sort of discipline with your study there that changed things for you, right?
I think it just took me a couple of times to realize that I'm just very bad. Like, I had a circle of friends, and they always recommended me just study. And I was like, no, I'm better and don't need studying. And then at some point, I had to admit, okay, they're probably right. And then with the 4th attempt, I would study pre-flop charts, some post-flop strategies, and back in the days, grinding sit and goes was really just, if you played well pre-flop, that was already enough. Like, it was already enough.
That's true. Talk a bit about this final table of the main event WSOP that you won. Can you talk a little bit about how you went into and strategy-wise? Did you have a lot of fun? How were the other players reacting to you? Just a little bit, and then heads up. And this was a big deal for you since you came so close the previous year. And I think it was over 5,000 entries, right? Correctly, in this 2025. So,
yeah, 5,000 to 6,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk a bit about the fun you had at the final table, because you do bring a lot of dedication, but I can tell you have a really passionate sense of fun when you play.
I enjoy more starting as a mid stack and short stack because you have a lot less to lose and you can be more just less pressure. When you start as a big stack, there's a lot more pressure.
Yeah.
Everyone expects you to win. And so I would say, obviously, considering the prestige of the tournament, I was a bit more nervous than other tournaments, which is also normal. And by being aware of it and being okay with it, I think that made me more relaxed. I'm not like forcing myself not to be nervous. If I'm nervous, I'm nervous. All right, cool. Like, and I bet everyone was nervous going into this final table. And compared to the previous year, obviously starting with a bigger stack, so mathematically, I already had higher chances of winning. And last year, I did a lot of moves that I wouldn't even regret. I rejammed the King Jack. A lot of people said it was a punt. So one of the spots were also scenarios that we imported into our training program. It's like showing you how to adapt against big stacks and that you should be reshoving and being more aggressive in certain spots. And in this moment, I remember I was like, okay, I have the King Jack here. Would I rejam this on $1,000 final table? Yes. Okay, then you should also do it playing for 4 million. Because, again, the money does not impact me. And it does not impact me enough that I would say, okay, no, let's play it safe. Let's play it. I ran into Ace King. I got lucky, but then I busted shortly after. So last year, I was very proud of myself to actually care a lot less about the money than I would have thought. And this year, I was ready to... It was a different situation because I started as a big stack. So I wanted to be more mindful in which spots I want to be bluff 3-bet and in which spots I don't want to be bluff 3-betting. Because there are a lot of spots where you actually, even as a big stick, you don't want to be bluff 3-betting because you play for $4 million. So a lot of players are not going to open raise as wide as in GTO. So I was very mindful, and I think it has saved me a lot of money. And apart from that, just going after players where I think are going to be too money scared. And then running well in all-ins, not going to lie. I won most of my all-ins and 2 critical coin. I mean, I think I had 1 coin flip that I won. I think that was the most important, like, turning point when we were like 5 left and I won this big all-in Ace King against 7s. And then.
So Share, I see people posting, dude, take a break. You won 4 million and you're right back in there battling. Can you talk a bit? And you obviously you've been through a lot the last week, and Ups and excitement and everything, and you got a little sick. So talk a bit about like why you're back online. I know you love to teach too, so share a bit about people criticizing you for not taking a break.
Yeah, but that's the thing. For me, it's not really a big of a hustle, you know.
Yeah,
It's a big series still going on that I was excited about playing. So yeah, that's I think the core difference. If you are a poker player and you wonder why is BenCB not taking a break, I think you're not there yet to really enjoy the game, the hustle, the pain, and all the ups and downs that poker brings. Then like a real pro, you're just not there, and you have then a disadvantage because for someone like me, it's easier to go through the downswings and learn and study and review and get better than you. You're more likely to quit a study session. You're more likely to skip a study session in the first place. You're more likely to punt it off, to tail it off. Just you have the disadvantages in a lot of different aspects. And if you really enjoy the game, again, this is where I obviously care about the money, but I care in a different, let's say, a different way than you.
right.
And so for me, it's still the same game. And if there are tournaments that I'm excited about to play, it doesn't matter if I won 4 million, if I won $100, nothing has changed. If you would win, obviously I take video games here as an example because I think this is where I think I can make my point the best. If you, for whatever reason, you win $10,000 in the Call of Duty tournament, would you take a break from playing Call of Duty the next day? Like, probably not, right? You really enjoy it. You would just keep playing, and you might even use this as taking a break. Obviously, playing poker, it can be quite exhausting, but once you found your passion and once you really enjoy something, you don't mind continue doing it, no matter how much money you want.
Right.
Of course, you should celebrate your wins. You should. I will also do this now. The series is over. I'm going to work for a couple of days, need to catch up with things, and then I'll meet with friends. We're going to have a party. Like, I'm going to do all these things, but just something went on here.
That's okay.
And also, a very important message is that it's always very hard to become successful, but it's a lot harder to stay successful.
Yeah.
So I also, even though obviously I have an ego as well, it might tell me, oh, you're the WSOP champ, go chill a bit, like just skip the weekend, have some, like, meet friends,
Yeah.
I kind of want to force myself to, even though I don't have to force myself, but there's still this little voice, like, I really want to shut it down, because this is where things can turn around really quickly. I wouldn't be the first one to fall very, very deeply after winning a big tournament.
Yeah.
So here you have to be even more harder on yourself and stricter when you realize that your ego tells you now you can take it slow. I want to be very mindful and like, okay, I make the decision now. I'm gonna continue playing for 3-4 days, then I'll take a break, maybe for a couple of days, have a party, maybe go on a vacation, whatever. But then I'm back. Like, there's no now the next year chill a bit. Like, maybe you want to take a sabbatical year. Okay, cool. Like, it has to be like your conscious decision and not your ego deciding for you just because you're the champ now you can take it slow. That's like, and it's a very special situation, but I can only recommend to every grinder out there, when you win your first big tournament, even if it's your $50 bankroll and you win your first tournament for $500, you might think, wow, I'm the king now, chill. Like, really, be a little bit harder to yourself, because it is harder to stay on track and focus once you win something. So you have to hold yourself accountable to stay extra hard on yourself and to make sure you stay successful, and then you can build up from there to go wherever you want to go, like climb up in stakes and get better and make more money ultimately.
They say if you want to get really good at something, one saying is teach. What have you learned the most from being a teacher all these years, by being a coach?
You're forced.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're forced to keep things simple, and simple wins you the most money in poker. So if I teach, I have to teach in a way that people understand it. That's why I like to use analogies, heuristics. I cannot, and that's why I really dislike most of the poker coaches. I mean, I don't dislike them. I dislike their approach because I think they hide behind not actually really understanding what they're teaching. Right? It's so easy to just use all the fancy terms. And we human beings are inherently attracted to people that sound smart, like doctors, lawyers. When they use all the fancy words, it's very often connected with they're smart. So you will find a lot of people using all these fancy terms, and they're just hiding behind them actually not really understanding the spot. And for me, I never really liked that approach. It never helped me, and I don't think it helps any student out there. So teaching then, it forces me, if I really want to do it good, when there's a complex topic, and you might see it also now in this interview, it's like, well, I would try to find similarities in like everyday life that everyone can resonate with.
Right.
And same in poker. And with examples like practical hands, when I use terms like you have to be looser, I always try them, like give them examples, like which hands would I be looser with or tighter, like which hands would I recommend to fold, and just avoiding generalizations, be very specific, using heuristics, examples, analogies, and so that people really have this aha moment. And that also then solidifies, or it manifests within me, whatever concept makes me also better as a poker player.
That's a great explanation. Share about, so if a new player, fairly new, played for a while, is coming to Raise Your Edge, what programs do you recommend? And then maybe more the advanced person, what's going to benefit them? What's some of the most popular programs you have there on Raise Your Edge?
I mean, the most popular is our Champions tier that has our tournament course, bounty course, sit and go course, mindset course, has our training program paired. But this is for those who are really wanting, it doesn't matter if you're a full-time player, part-time player, but those who really want to make a lot of money with poker, period. If you are not sure if poker is for you, or maybe you don't have the money to invest into a program yet, our free course. A couple of years ago, I realized the most common question I get is, Ben, where do I start? Ben, do you have any tips? How can I grind up a bankroll? I was like, I am tired of answering the same question, so I just built a program that is for free and that you can win on micro stakes, low stakes. Basically, our vision for this was build your first $10,000 bankroll with this program. And it's for free. I also have a free mindset training. I built this together with Rolle. That's also for free. That teaches you everything about variance, bankroll management, how to study, what to study. Like, if you're really curious about this poker pro lifestyle and what it takes to get there, like you have the, let's say, more technical part, which is a tournament program, teaches you a lot of strategies, how to make money with tournament poker. And then you have the, let's say, mindset, variance, lifestyle kind of approach. Even covers topics like how to deal with your friends or family that don't support you in your journey, or, as I said, variance, bankroll management, where you actually make money in poker. Like, what are the spots and how do you study them? Like, this is more the, mindset. And then also how to deal with tilt, like how to fix your tilt and all these kind of concepts. What mindset it takes to become a poker pro. So we have these two programs. And then now recently we launched another one, which is called the Poker Profit Playbook. So it's like 20 tips where you make a lot of money in poker. And we sent them out via email. So you have like 3 different programs. All of them are for free. That if you follow my advice, there's no way you cannot be a winning player on micro low stakes, like let's say up to $20 tournaments. And you can grind up a bankroll 5K, 10K. And then if you say, I want to take it further, you can reinvest this. So our whole vision is that poker players don't need to spend a single penny on their poker education. We also have a free Discord where they can ask questions and make some side income. And then if they want to take it more serious, you at least can use this money that you earn from poker to reinvest it. So, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I can tell you're struggling with a cold. You've had a busy week or so after winning this big WSOP Main Online event. So check out Raise Your Edge. It's been really a pleasure to talk to Benjamin Rolle here. And now you do it, so the Germans there know. I can't pronounce your last name, so give me the German version you gave me at the beginning.
Oh, it's just Benjamin Rolle. Or you I can't very hard R,
Well, thanks for your time. Check out Raise Your Edge. This has been PokerOrg's The Interview Special Edition with Benjamin Rolle, and I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you for inviting me. Very good questions. Appreciate it. Thank you.